What is good with the YouTube? It is your boy, Sean Rock to the aka Lil Nicky V6, represent Mandatory Thrive because every day it is mandatory for us to thrive, and I am back again with another video. But before I start this video, I want to ask y'all to head over to Amazon.com, purchase my first published book, Give Nothing Less Than 300 from the Basement, Mind, Body, and Soul. Great book, great read. It'll make you laugh, make you cry, and teach you a lesson. Yes, sir. Link will be in the description. Now, I want to make this video and talk about a topic that has been very, very prevalent in my personal life. And I want to share where I am simply because growing up, maybe, or just even being a man maybe my age or older, these things there just wasn't a space to have this type of dialogue and this type of conversation about these things. There wasn't many tools out there that I felt like could essentially help me. So I'm utilizing my story in order to, help somebody else on their journey. And what I'm talking about is the topic of, growing up in poverty, being an empathist, being a sensitive man, right, and being somewhat different than most of your counterparts, having a different response. As you begin to learn yourself, you begin to peel back layers of things that essentially you've been taught to, hide from and suppress, right? And you begin to see who you really are. And that's exactly what happened to me. However, I mean, since a kid, I've known that I was a very sensitive man, and growing up in the hood, growing up in the ghetto, being sensitive is very much frowned upon. It's very much unacceptable. There's just no room for emotion. There's no room for feelings for a variety of different reasons. I think circumstantially, just the space that we were in as a whole, like as a community, we were in survival mode. So that doesn't leave much leisure room, right, to explore the depths of, the emotional lives of, children. That was one aspect of it. And then the majority of men, whether extremely hyper masculine or not hyper masculine, did not have a lot of teaching and understanding of their own masculinity. So this was a part of it. And then another part of it was just the weight and the pressure, on a lot of the women led them to not even be in a space to engage with these type of conversations. But nevertheless, I knew that I was a very, very sensitive person, and I was an empathist. And here's what I mean. Even when I was a younger child, I could remember going in rooms and feeling people's emotions, like feeling the weight of other people's thoughts and ideas and different things like that. And not only that, which I believe, was one of the reasons why I was an empathist. Not only that, when the jokes and the playing and different things like that, would happen whenever it was my turn to get joked on or anything like that, the jokes just stuck. But the joking wasn't really a big problem. It was more of things that adults had said to me that truly, truly affected me, right? And I didn't understand why, when these things happened to me, I felt so differently than everybody else. Now, I'm pretty sure there was people around me who felt the same way. But there wasn't a space. So how did I deal with it being a person who was unaware? I deal with it like most kids who are sensitive, in certain environments and urban environments, and most kids who are empathists in certain environments. I became very great at servitude, right? Which means loving on people and, allowing people to feed off of me, putting myself second. That was one aspect of it, right? I began to fix people even as a young kid, right? Through my energy, I began to allow people to utilize my gifts and my abilities to build themselves up. That was one aspect of it. And the other aspect of it was I developed a very hard shell and I became very aggressive. And that's one approach that kids can take, because you can become very aggressive or you can become very, very soft and suicidal. And I chose the latter. So what that means is to suppress that sensitive side. I just fought. I fought a lot. I was quick to fight. I didn't really care if you were bigger than me, stronger than me, smaller than me. It really just didn't matter. I became a class clown and I became a fighter, right? Win, lose, or draw. In my time, in my teenage years, I've been in over 30 plus fist fights, right? Physical fist fights. I've been in fights where I've been jumped by 15 guys. I've been in fights with my cousins where it was 3 of us and 30 of them. I've been in various different situations, and the bulk of the reasons why I feel now, as I understand growing up, was because of, misguidance. Yes, because, I wasn't, active in things that I should have been active in. But I believe it was always because I was sensitive. And yes, I was sensitive, but I was the ringleader of my groups. So I started to fight as a way to cope with, emotions. And coming up, I actually believe that me getting in all of these fights and fighting people consistently was very masculine. But to my understanding now, it's actually the very opposite. Me getting into a lot of fist fights was actually feminine, because the reasons why I fought a lot was because of little things that people said or did that I emotionally didn't have the strategy or the strength of understanding of my plight in my own real masculinity to deal with. So I reacted emotionally, right? Because if you said something to me that hurt my feelings, that made me sad, which in turn led to me being angry, I wanted to put hands and feet on you. Not because I was a tough guy, not because I was extra bravado or extra masculine, but it was actually because I was the total opposite. I was very, very sensitive. And what this did was this severed various opportunities in my life, my reaction to things. This severed various things in my life because, there was basketball teams that I played on. There was bands that I was a part of. There were youth groups that I was a part of. There was relationships that I was a part of that, because I wasn't okay with my masculinity of being sensitive and being an empathist, and I couldn't tell myself this hurt me deeply more than other people, and I need to process this and accept this so that I can respond differently. I didn't know that. So I responded physically. And what that did is it got me kicked off of basketball teams. It got me kicked out of bands. It got me, sent to jail. It got me in a variety of different scenarios that wasn't conducive to my growth and my journey in terms of prospering as a person. It was actually opposing. Whereas now, I've been in a variety of, circumstances and situations that I've been able to process my emotions properly and conduct myself properly as an empathist and a sensitive man, and stand my ground and continue to prosper in my life and continue to create opportunities for myself instead of sever them. So I want to give you a couple tools that I've used. To be quite honest, there's not a lot of safe space for men to vent and be open. So I'm just going to be honest about that. But men need safe spaces to vent and open. So two of the most safe spaces that men have to go to vent and be open is, number one, in prayer and communication with God, right? And then number two, in journaling, right? Doing journaling. Journaling will help you pretty much understand and come to grips and accept your emotions. Not only that, it's a safe place for you to express your emotions on a much deeper level, which is going to transform your relationship with yourself, and is going to give you the type of tools to handle tough situations, knowing that you got that pen and pad to come back to and process those feelings, and it's going to make you grow tremendously in emotional resilience and emotional maturity. So those are a couple tools that you could use, prayer, conversations with God, journaling, and then last but not least, doing meditations, like meditating for a few minutes, because meditating, doing breath work is going to help you essentially to keep calm when you sense that nervousness or that anxiety or that sensitivity kind of like probing and coming up and getting ready to rear its head out and make you do something that you're going to regret. Which I've been in a variety of situations where I put my hands on people, and I've just caused my life to be, I destroyed a lot of opportunities because of it. So there's a couple tools. The next one is you have to be honest with yourself. I think that this is one of the hardest things for empathists or people who are sensitive. They spend so much time absorbing other people's, ideas and philosophies and problems and emotions. And a variety of different things that they can't even really rationalize and process their own emotions enough to accept themselves. So if you're sensitive, yes, you're going to have to develop tough skin so that you can be productive in society and make a way for yourself, which means that you're going to have to develop a certain level of masculinity to, create the options for your life. But in order to do that, you have to accept that you're sensitive and that you're empathist. So a prime example would be for me. I have leaders that's above me and below me in certain situations, different type of men who have different energy than me, who have different ideologies, who've been groomed differently, right? And their approach to things is more intense, right? It's more straight to the point. It's more strict and straight. It's a man's world type of philosophy. And that's not me. That's not me. And, it's been times doing meetings and doing leadership conversations where I've attempted to adopt these type of things, and I will put myself in positions where my anxiety is at an all-time high. My reactions are a certain way because I'm attempting to try to follow someone who's not an empathist, who's not sensitive's philosophy on how to approach things. When I agree with the rules and regulations and the standards, but I don't agree with how to approach it. But if I don't know that, then you will eventually butt heads with these people, right? And because the conflict will be too great, right? Or you would just do something very, very stupid, right? Because you're trying to uphold something that you're not geared to uphold. So what I've learned to do is I'll take into consideration their ideology and their philosophy, but I will approach situations from my empathetic and sensitive self. And what this has done is the reaction from people has been better, right? And my reaction to people's responses to me has been better. So I've had better outcomes, right? Ones that were not as close to getting physical compared to trying to approach it in a certain type of way. So being sensitive, you have to recognize and accept that you are sensitive, and you have to approach life from that standpoint. And this is how you open up your true essence of masculinity, which is very similar or the exact same thing as someone who's not sensitive or who's not an empathist. It's just they approach things much, much different than you, right? You have different motives, you have different approaches, you have different protocols. So I've begun to develop protocols that's suitable for me. I go slower when approaching things. I remain calmer when approaching things. I'm more apologetic. My tone is different. I handle things and I feel like this is my natural form of masculinity. And I feel so much more at peace with being sensitive and being an empathist because I'm approaching things from that place versus the bark, the rah, 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 which is what a lot of men and women, who are sensitive and empathist, we become very, very hard because we've been kind of beat and into submission, and we've been used up and we've been swallowed by society, and we've been used up and used and all of that, but we also have been ostracized by society. Typically, most of us are introverts. So because of this, we just become hard. And we're not meant to be hard. We're meant to be sensitive and empathist. And we just have to learn how to control it, contain it, and protect ourselves in the process. So another tool that you're going to have to use, you're going to have to spend some time alone. You're going to have to spend some time alone to recharge. So I do a lot of things to recharge. A lot of time by myself to process things, because this helps me to make the distinction between my own personal emotions, feelings, desires, wants, motives, and different things like that, and other people's desires, emotions, and different things like that. I can make the distinction so that I'm okay and I can have better responses to people, because we are prone to be used and manipulated and different things like that. And that's not to say that we don't do the same things to other people, because we absolutely do. And then the last thing that I'll say is the outlet. See, there's the outlet usually for most people is, like I said before, becoming very hard, becoming very aggressive, becoming or just becoming completely withdrawal and very soft, and just kind of submitting to it from a weak standpoint. Those outlets are not healthy. So there's the outlet to express my rah-rah and the yell and the scream, and to get all of that pain out. I exercise and I rap loud and I jump and I beat on my chest and I bark and I do all of that. And exercising in a certain way in a park where I'm just kind of free to be myself is one way. Rapping is one way. Expressing myself creatively with colors and writing, those are other ways. I find safe outlets to express my frustration and express my emotion, and to tap into my bravado as a person, as a man. And what this does in turn, it allows me to be calm and reserved and quiet and sensitive in real life, in moments that matter. When I don't do these things, like when I don't find outlets to jump around and scream and break stuff and do different things like that, or write and journal and process, then I become my unconscious and unredeemed self again, right? And then I become very hard and wanting to fight, in which essentially I become more feminine in my approach to things, because I don't have an outlet to express that. So if you are a sensitive man, if you are empathist, if you are an introvert, yes, you're still going to have to exercise, being an extrovert. You're still going to have to exercise learning how to engage and talk with people when it doesn't fill you up the same way. But there's nothing wrong with the way that you are, right? So the funniest thing about it, which once again goes back to being around people who match your energy and who understand you. And even in my process of transformation, I was talking to a particular person about, alpha, 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 alpha this, alpha that. Meanwhile, in my conscious and in my soul, there was a contingence going on internally with alpha, because I didn't quite resonate with it 100%. And by the way, you can be alpha and be sensitive. You can be alpha and be introverted. So that's definitely not what I'm saying. These terms are just terms to help you identify and understand yourself. They're not all black and white, definitely gray. But anyways, there was a contingence with me with the ideology and the approach of the alpha male. And so I was talking with this person, and they was like, I don't think that you're an alpha. I think that you have a lot of alpha ways, but I think that you are a bit different than an alpha. And I was like, what does that even mean? And they just kind of began to express and talk to me about just my approach on different things. And then they said, I think that you're a Sigma male. I think that you're a Sigma male. I didn't even know what a Sigma male was. And essentially, a Sigma male was like an introverted alpha, or a man who didn't want to be a part of the social hierarchy, who wanted to kind of go his own way, blah, 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 splee. You look it up, you'll kind of see. And it just kind of clicked, and it made sense, because I was feeling this pressure internally, like for my success and different things, that I needed to once again start in a new form, not the same way I did when I was a kid, but in a new form, start to put on that fake exterior, right, on myself, that fake jacket. But I was having this conversation with this person, and this person kind of, was able to help me to kind of like see who I was beyond what I could see of who I was. So the last thing would be, you just got to do some soul searching and learn two things. Learn who God is, because God is the creator of you, right? God is the creator of all things. So if you know the creator of all things, you know the hierarchy of this game, you're going to be in a much greater space. And then secondly, you must know your higher self. You must know you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a duality of a relationship, right? It all kind of comes together, to bring you to a place of contingents. And you may have to double dip in variety of different things, especially if you come from an environment, right, where education and different things, I wasn't taught about finance and who I am and personality and variety of those different things like that. So if you grow up like that, you have to hold tight to certain titles and convictions and ideologies, so that you can be okay. So anyways, hope this video helps, man. Remember, dream big, work hard, live great, don't stop. It's your boy Sean Rock to them, signing out. Peace.